And this country does not actually care about kids the way that they portray that they do.
Inside this old warehouse in South Texas, the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol is keeping hundreds of immigrant children in cages created by metal fencing. The U.S. Border Patrol on Sunday allowed us to briefly visit this facility where it holds families arrested at the southern U.S. border, responding to new criticism and protests over the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy and resulting separation of families. At that time, more than 1,100 people were inside the large, dark facility that's divided into separate wings for unaccompanied children, adults on their own, and mothers and fathers with children.
Holy shit, that is a lot of people.
The cages in each wing open out into common areas to use portable restrooms.
Portable restrooms? You mean porta potties? That is so fucking disgusting, bro. They smell like shit. And I bet you $5 that these motherfuckers don't upkeep that shit. At least not in a timely manner.
The overhead lighting in the warehouse stays on around the clock.
It's already bad enough that they're being locked up, but then the lights have to stay on, so they can't even sleep comfortably. Like, come on, bro. Like, why?
The Associated Press, nor any other media organization at the time, was allowed to independently film this facility. The video you are looking at shows us touring around the facility, and it was handed out by the federal government.
Although it would be weird if they wouldn't allow people to go in there and see, but on the other hand, it's also still weird because now, why would people be able to go and tour and shit like that and then get to look at these people like it's a fucking zoo or some shit? I don't know, bro. This whole situation is just fucking weird and unnecessary. And like, I know it's in 2018, but I have yet to see an article or a video or an update on shit like this explaining that these behaviors have stopped.
The Border Patrol told us close to 200 people inside were minors unaccompanied by a parent. Another 500 were family units, that's parents and children. Many adults who crossed the border without legal permission could be charged with illegal entry and placed in jail away from their children.
At that point, just deport the whole family. Because I know that they're not going to put these kids in foster home. They're going to put them in sponsors and shit like that. And look how that ended up.
Nearly 2,000 children have been taken from their parents since Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced the policy, which directs Homeland Security officials to refer all cases of illegal entry into the United States for prosecution. Church groups and human rights advocates have sharply criticized this policy, calling it inhumane.
Yeah, bro, that's definitely inhumane. Criminals get better treatment than this. Because at least when you go to jail, they turn the lights off eventually when you're going to go to sleep. These motherfuckers have the lights on all the time.
Facility behind me is essentially a clearinghouse for these illegal entry cases. When there are families involved, this is a place where families are separated because the parents' next step is to go to federal court. The children then go to facilities that are run by the Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Refugee Resettlement.
Or, I have an idea. Instead of doing this, how about just deport them and kick them off our land, right? I understand, yes, they committed a crime, but our tax dollars are funding this shit. And then our tax dollars are also funding where the kids are going. It's just much easier to just tell them, okay, go back home, instead of separating families and keeping them in cages. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're just getting arrested, look at it this way. People are going to take advantage of that, right? They hate their lives, whatever they're fucking doing over there. So they come here and then they're being given shelter. They're stuck in cages. They're being fed. They're getting a free lifestyle. It's not a good life. But you can see how someone could take advantage of that. If you just kick them out of the land and send them back to where they were. And I'm talking about these are the people that come with kids who are their kids. You kick them out, then our tax dollars can go to something else that's more productive instead of trapping people.
In many cases, the parents are being given handouts on how to find their children once their legal cases are disposed of.
Which could take years, by the way.
But there is really no way to verify how accurate those handouts are and if the parents are having any luck in finding their kids in a timely manner.
which is annoying as hell, by the way, because our tax dollars are funding this, and they don't tell us where our tax dollars are going, and they don't tell us what's happening with these folks, but they're still using your money, my money, and everybody else's money. Anybody who works a job, any taxpayer, funding this shit. Like, that's just not right, bro. Fast forward to current day. Look what's happening now.
And tonight, lawmakers urging the Biden administration to provide explanations for the disappearance of 85,000 migrant children.
So it's bad enough that we put them in cages, but then we lost them. Like, how the fuck does that happen? And then nobody talks about it. Like, I'm so sick of fucked up shit happening in this country, and then nobody talks about it, and then nothing gets done to change it.
Representative Juan Ciscomani has written a letter to the administration raising concerns about unaccompanied migrant children being handed over to adults and then failing to keep track of them.
Whistleblowers are revealing that the Biden administration is releasing young migrant children into the arms of adult supervisors who have not been properly vetted with a background check. And that's coming from Representative Juan Ciscomani.
No background check? You have got to be fucking kidding me. There's no way. How is this possible? What the fuck? Yo, who's running this fucking country, bro? It's a fucking circus, yo.
Now we have 85,000 missing unaccompanied minors.
Y'all ever been in a situation so bad and so fucked? All you can do is laugh.
You're laughing?
She's laughing.
And don't get me wrong, it's not because I find this funny. I don't. But yo, what the fuck, man? Like, what the actual hell, bro?
All of those young children were processed through the port of entry here in the U.S., but now there are no sign of them anywhere.
These are the minors that are sent up by their parents with a last-ditch hope that they can make it to the land of opportunity and have a better shot at life.
Now lawmakers are calling on the Biden administration to reveal how many minors were allowed into the country and were turned over to adult sponsors who weren't vetted properly. Representative Ciscomani says the House has ways to hold the Biden administration accountable.
Well, considering how demented our president is, I doubt he'd be any of help.
Joe Biden's cognitive and physical decline has been well documented throughout his administration. Mumbles and stumbles often make headlines and are mocked by primetime television hosts. But what is not widely spoken about is Joe Biden's creepiness. Sniffing children, inappropriate touching, and strange whispering have all come up multiple times throughout his presidency. But the mainstream media seem to sweep the concerning behaviour under the rug.
And with how creepy he is around kids as well, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the reason why these kids are missing.
We have the power of the purse. I'm in the Appropriations Committee. We're going to use any pressure point here with the administration that is necessary to get their attention.
Ciscomani says these young children are being forced into sex slavery and child labor ring.
I'm not trying to downplay other people's struggles, but when I'm going through it, I be thinking like, damn, bro, I really have it good. Because I'm not being sex trafficked, and I'm not enslaved. You know, I might have to go to some job that I might dread and shit. At the end of the day, I gotta come home. So yeah, I be looking at life like that sometimes. I really feel so sorry that some people had to be handed those cards, that they have to go through this shit, man. And I know that this shit is real. I know that shit is happening. And I pray for these people. I do. And I hope that this politician, or whoever he is actually about his word, is actually doing something.
In his letter, he calls out Health and Human Secretary Javier Becerra and Homeland Security of Secretary Services Alejandro Bojorquez, accusing them of not doing anything to help find these young missing children.
We want to continue to drive resources to the border. We're going to do that, and they're going to come with accountability factors as well. Secretary Mayorkas and Secretary Becerra need to answer the questions that I asked them on these letters. Where are these kids? What are we doing about it?
See, I like this guy, but maybe, just maybe these kids wouldn't be missing if they have better preventative measures in place. Like, for example, listen to this.
There's a law, the obligation to care for these individuals. If that's the case, why is it on March 22nd ORR removed the proof of address requirement and exempted other household members from submitting to a background check or providing identification?
It's like you're dealing with children. Why would you do that? Or better yet, why would they allow that? Because I'm pretty sure these are government-funded programs, but the government isn't looking into what's happening. Make it make sense.
How does that aid in the obligation to care? Remove proof of address requirement.
I think what you are referring to was in the spring of 21.
Bro, oh my God, he just said that. Why are you stalling? She's talking like she has a minimum word count on an essay.
Yeah, the March 22nd, 2021. I gave you the date. What?
Okay, when there were
How does it?
children backed up, over 4,000 in DHS.
So since they're backed up, we just remove the requirement, lower the standard. I mean, that's essentially what we're saying, right?
I have a genius idea. Instead of taking in more children, how about you stop taking children, and for the children that you do have now, you hyper-focus on their safety, and any child that keeps trying to come into America illegally, you just deport them. Sounds crazy. Fucked up concept. But in my opinion, I think it's still better than just sending out kids to places with no proof of residence and no criminal background. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
There are a number of layers of.
I get it, but how does that
checks and
enhance?
steps.
Okay, maybe I should ask the question this way. Does that removal of the proof of address requirement for the household members that are submitted for, these children that we're trying to find a place for, does that enhance your obligation to care, or does it not enhance it?
I'm not sure if she's doing this on purpose, but it's taking her like 5 seconds to turn her mic on. Like, it's just another form of stalling, because, like, bro, just leave it on. Stop turning it off. It's just wasting a lot more time.
Congressman, we check the addresses of all sponsors.
It says proof of address requirement and removed the proof of address. So you can check, but you don't have any proof, right? You can ask. I get it. You ask, right? Hey, what's your address, Mr. or Mrs. Sponsor? And they give you the address, and you write it down, and that's the end of it now, right? There's no requirement of proof of address.
I don't think that that's a fair characteristic.
Bro, I swear, you can't make this shit up. You don't think it's a fair characteristic? Homie, this is called safety and preparation. Oh my God, I swear we got the wrong people in power.
The thorough vetting process that our staff go through. And if there is any flag.
Well, let me ask you this then. On March 31st of 2021, so just a couple days later, ORR eliminated the background check requirement for immediate relatives other than a parent or legal guardian. Why would that be?
Literally, what the fuck? It's like they want kids to go missing and get trafficked and get abused, like, on purpose. Like, if this is the case that they removed the proof of address and the background check, what was the measures that they were taking for the kid's safety? Like, actually, because those would be the two main ones. The proof of address to know where the fuck they are, and the background to make sure that they're in good arms and their safety isn't being challenged.
How does that enhance the obligation to care?
It doesn't. This is actually anti-caring. Bro, 4 seconds to turn your mic on? For real?
ORR's belief is that a child is best with their parent.
You can't be fucking serious. She's giving these corporate ass responses. And look at her face. Like, just look at her fucking face. Looking like the Hamburglar or the fucking Grimace from McDonald's. Like, can she be real for 2 seconds? If y'all believe that a kid is best with their parent, then why do y'all make it so easy for the kid to get lost?
How do you know that they're with their parent? How do you know? Are you familiar that the Department of Homeland Security under 8 U.S.C. 1365B shall create a biometric entry and exit data system, right? Even though they haven't, and they haven't implemented anything like that, other than asking And other than public source information, how can you be sure it's their parent?
Didn't you just turn on your mic while he was talking? If you know it takes you 8 years to fucking turn your mic back on, why the fuck did you turn it off? Because here we go again. I have to wait 5 more fucking years for you to turn the mic on and for you to stall and give a half-ass response. Like, get to the fucking point.
Congressman, we go through a number of vetting procedures. We ask
sure you do.
the child and the parent or the sponsor questions on the same day.
If there's no good proof or evidence that they're in a safe place or with safe people, it doesn't matter what the fuck you're asking them.
We verify things with consulates.
Okay, so
How are you gonna verify shit if you guys got rid of the requirement to even check? This shit ain't adding up, bro.
what's the percentage of children that are reunited with their parent? Provable. What's your percentage? And how do you prove that?
We go through a number of.
There's no way she does not know the statistics of something that she's running. Like, bro, how? Like, a professional system would have them on deck, ready to go, because they know everything that's going on. So either the answer is really bad and she doesn't want to say, or she actually doesn't know. And I don't know what's worse.
What's the percentage, ma'am? I know you go through a number of things. You're stalling. Just answer. Just tell me. Do you have a clue?
So in this fiscal year, I believe 37%.
37% end up with their parent.
So 7 out of 10 kids don't end up with their parent. These are bad stats, and more people should know about this.
Do you ever refer for charges for abandonment? Do you understand that abandonment in many states is a felony offense? And these children are coming to the border without their parent, which qualifies them as unaccompanied, right? That's the characterization. Are the charges ever referred for abandonment?
Congressman or is not a law enforcement.
There's no way that she understood that question like that. No one said that you're a law enforcement, but you gotta be following the fucking rules. These are one of the jobs that cannot have bad apples.
I didn't say you were a law enforcement. I didn't ask you to enforce the law. Do you ever refer? Like, if you found somebody doing a criminal act in your vetting process to one of these children, you're not a law enforcement agency. Would you refer charges?
I wouldn't necessarily go to the lengths to say that she would be committing the crime, but she definitely enables it because of her nasty attitude and her lack of giving a fuck. Like, there's some people who do jobs because they love it, and then there's some people who do jobs because they need a paycheck. This person here definitely is there for the paycheck. There's no remorse or no sign of sympathy. She doesn't care, and it's obvious. She doesn't give a fuck if these kids die or go missing.
We would refer to and report to the appropriate.
Okay, so how many have you referred or reported for abandonment?
Just for that not alone, she should get 20 years, straight up. I don't understand why it's so hard for her to answer a fucking question. It's crazy because she looks so annoyed, even though this has nothing to do with her, but everything to do with the safety of children.
Our job.
Is that zero?
Dude, just when you think that it can't get worse, it literally does. Dude, how do they not refer anything? Like, there's thousands of cases and not one thing has gone wrong. I doubt that shit. Especially with all these preventative measures that they're not taking. Some shit must have gone down. And the fact that it hasn't been reported is sketchy as fuck.
Because they're all coming to the border unaccompanied. And if they're unaccompanied, that means they don't have their parent, right? I mean, by definition.
And if they're running away from a parent or an abusive household, referring them back to a parental guardian isn't a smart idea either way.
Our job by Congress is to provide for the care.
God bless you. We want you to do the job.
On one hand, I want him to stop interrupting her and actually let her talk. But on the other hand, I know everything she's saying is just some corporate bullshit answer so she doesn't get sued.
I'm not reading from stuff that I made up. We got ORR sent over 100 unaccompanied children to a single-family house in Texas. I mean, if this vetting process is working, how does that happen?
Dude, that's a lot of motherfuckers in one house. But then it's just another prime example on why their systems are not good systems.
Whistleblowers from ORR knowingly transferred UAC to criminal and sex traffickers.
I saw that coming from a mile away. But what other reason would 85,000 kids go missing for no reason? Because they escaped? No. Sex trafficking, child trafficking, slavery trafficking. Fuck these people.
If this process is working, how is that happening? A Florida grand jury pointed out an incident where 24-year-old male was erroneously vetted as a child by ORR and then proceeded to violently murder his sponsor. I'm sure you saw it in the news. If this process is working, how are these things occurring? And let's face it, these children are coming and they're unaccompanied because someone has abandoned them. Why don't we refer charges for abandonment? I'm not asking you to do the law enforcement work. But my goodness, if your job is your obligation, statutory obligation is to care for those minors, my goodness, if you saw somebody beating up some little kid on the street, wouldn't you call the police?
Of course I would.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, buddy. I doubt that. I just want y'all to understand that this makes America look so bad. It's not even funny. I pray for the best. Everybody who's being affected by it right now, I hope that they have a happy ending. And all these people who are getting away with torturing kids, enslaving kids, sex trafficking, all that shit, I hope they have a horrible and slow death. And the people who enable shit like this, I hope they have a slow death too. I hope their eyes get gouged out. Just the worst. This is just ridiculous, bro. How the fuck does 85,000 people go missing? Like, by the way, our tax dollars funded this. We gave them the power with our money, and that's what they do. So yeah, fuck these people.
This has been happening under our nose. This a decision the kids never chose. Got me thinking a slit in my throat. Gotta be kidding, is this shit a joke? Ending of the galaxy, real life, not a fallacy. Run with our reality, drama, not a fantasy. All this normalization, pedophilia, gotta stop.